Welcome to Mind Your Business, a program strategically designed to equip you to be your brother's keeper. Here are your hosts, Pastor Leroy David and Elder Alvin Flora.
Let me say greetings to our listeners and viewers, and we are happy to be here on another episode of Mind Your Business. Certainly, I know that you've been, I hope that you've been having a wonderful week, and God has been certainly good to you. And it is very good that we can welcome you on another program today. Those listening online from various parts all around the world, we just want to say thank you for choosing Mind Your Business, and thank you for choosing this particular radio station to listen to, uplifting gospel music and programming that can sustain you, fill you up, change you, and have an effect on your character. So thank you for choosing this program, and thank you for being here at this time. Of course, it's always good to welcome others. So your family, your friends, your loved ones, those persons who know you love the program, and those persons who will be edified by listening to this program, and that is everyone. Invite them, share the link with them, let them know we are on YouTube, we are on Facebook, we are on Praise FM radio, we are also live. They can do it via the app as well. And, we love to interact with you. So, of course, we're expecting to hear from you during our program today. And we are focusing on our main subject is dying to belong. It is dying to belong. And many persons, one person in particular said, this is an interesting topic. And, they wanted to know, how do you come up with these topics that we have? We want to say that God, of course, has blessed talented people around us to help us with the program. And we want to thank them immensely for their input as well. So our main subject is dying to belong. Our objective is to help the MYB family understand the process of adoption and the crucial role we play in parenting our children. Our key text: do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit, rather in humility, value others above yourselves, not looking to your own interests, but each of you to the interests of the others. And that is taken from Philippians chapter 2, verses 3 and 4. And today we look at our subject text from Exodus chapter 22, verses 22 to 23. It says, "You shall not mistreat any widow or fatherless child. If you do mistreat them and they cry out to me, I will surely hear their cry." And that is Exodus chapter 22, verse 22 to 23. You shall not mistreat any widow or fatherless child. If you do mistreat them and they cry out to me, I will surely hear their cry. Of course, we have our numbers that you can call to interact with us, and that is 4521011, 4521011, and our WhatsApp number, of course, 4619647, 4619647. So when you have your questions that you want to ask, or you want to make a comment, or generally something that you want to know on something that you would like to suggest, you can always call to interact with us and ask us these questions. Of course, before we go into the meat of the matter, yesterday we had a very interesting time with the people at SAFA. Now, some time ago, SAFA Lewis, the administrators, came here to the radio station, and we were discussing pursuit of excellence,
yes.
Right? And then they gave us some insight as to what they were doing and their offerings. So if you want, at any point in time, you can go view that program last month or in February that we had that program. You can view that program to see what other offerings Alpha Lewis Community College have and the contributions they've been making to society. And of course, we got the opportunity because they have a restaurant, and in their restaurant they serve and they allow the students to get their training, industry training, so that when they go into the world of work, they're able to be ready to serve anybody from the lowest to the highest. Anyone who's sitting at the table, they can serve them without any nerves. And I must tell you, the service was impeccable. The service was impeccable. I had a young man and a young lady. They were waiters for the afternoon, and they took special care. I heard sir I heard madam, and and
Yes.
they were very particular in the way they treated us during the time. And of course, we can also speak about the meal. The service was impeccable, and also the meal was exquisite. Is that the word for it, Sharina? Another cuisine. Richie, is that the word for it? Yes, Richie is nodding here. That's the word for it. It was exquisite. It was very tasty, and I could not believe that these are students who made that. So we want to say kudos to Safa, kudos to the students who take on the task and the program. It's very good to know that we have a program at Safa Louis that does that and caters to that. So our administrators, kudos to you. We had a wonderful time, and hopefully we can share some of our clips, later on the radio station's Facebook page, so that we can allow you to see. You may not smell it, you may not taste it. You can see how wonderful our time was, and it was very good. A good gesture by them to invite us, to invite MYB, and to invite the Praise family to, to enjoy and bask in their cuisine. And I'm also sending the appeal, if you have the means to donate or to work with them, collaborate with them to help bring the work forward in terms of helping our young people develop positively. This is an area that we all can go to. All right. So this is an area we can all go to. So I'm happy that I'm not alone. I have Pastor David here with me. I would like to welcome him on the program this afternoon. Pastor David, welcome to Mind Your Business.
Thank you. Greetings and salutations to you, listeners and viewers. And maybe, I don't know, should I say it's unfortunate, Flora is describing something I and my guest didn't have a part to play in it. While the guest may not be the guest's fault, it's my fault. And I'm wondering, Sister Sharina, should I feel bad now?
Yes.
Mostly.
Just joking.
But unfortunately, I've not been able to be there. And, well, you know how it is already. But I'm glad it was tasty. Tasty. Yeah.
And refreshing. We were in the balcony.
Oh, yes,
taking the scenery and the cool air. They put us in a special seat. Wow.
So you want to take it for long to talk about it?
No. I'm just adding a little extra to that.
So yes. As I guess you would recommend the price,
of course,
and so on. I think I told my wife how the price for it, and she didn't believe. She said I made a mistake.
Oh yeah.
She didn't believe this is what it is.
Yeah, it was.
So I told her, by the grace of God. But yes, we are here once again for another program, and we're excited. We're excited. We have our guest with us, and our guest is excited too, and can't wait, to share his expertise on the subject. And so we pray that you're listening, and as Ella Fleur would have indicated, it's a welcome some individuals, bring some people in, tell them mind your business is on. It's time to mind your business properly. And so get them in, and let's have a healthy discussion, all to God's name, glory and honor, and to us being better citizens for our countries, communities, and for the kingdom. Can I invite us to pray at this time? Father in heaven, we continue to sing your praises. We are delighted for an opportunity to serve you. And even here, oh Lord, for the ministry of Praise FM, the opportunity to serve those listening and even our guests. So guide everything we do today and say, we ask in Jesus' name.
Amen. So we're looking at dying to belong. Now, if you know anything about psychology, belonging is one of the most important, areas of development of any human being. If you don't belong, you have a sense that it doesn't complete you. There's a sense of incompletion in any area that you're in. Everyone is looking for a sense of belonging. And of course, we look at a story adopted by Krewer, and it is, I love my parents. They got me when I was a month old and raised me my whole life. Still, there were times when we just didn't understand each other and get along. I discovered the identity of my birth parents when I was in my 40s. So someone is talking about the adoption and saying how they love their parents, and the parents adopted them when they were a month old. and raised them their whole life, but they found out that about their birth parents when the person was in their 40s. I seem to have a lot in common with my birth mother. I wonder if I might have been happier if she'd kept me. Let me say that again. I wonder if I might have been happier if she kept me. Bottom line, my birth parents chose to give me up. Whatever promoted that decision, it was the one that she made. I was raised by parents who desperately wanted me, not by the ones who didn't. I wonder, but I don't wish. Dying to belong. Today, to discuss the issues and areas as relates to adoption, and maybe this is something that you who's listening is considering. Maybe you don't have a baby of your own, or for some unfortunate reason you cannot have one on your own. We want to be able to equip you and educate you so that you know what the process is like and what it entails, and also give you views from persons who have been there themselves. And we have with us a family case worker at the Human Services for more than 10 years, a man with loads of experience. He has been here before. He also has a master's degree in counseling psychology from the University of the West Indies. So we welcome to our studio, not a stranger, but an honored guest. That is Mr. Stephen Edward. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Elder Flora. It's a privilege to be here. It's a long time. I don't think I was here last year. It's a long time.
You were not here last year?
I can't recall.
Last year was just a few months ago. So it could have been December last year, but it was last year.
But I actually think he's right. He was not here last year, so he owes us about 4 sessions this year.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a long time.
Is that a complaint that is registered? But we note that you want to be here more often. So thank you for being here. Of course, we know, your busy schedule as a family case worker. It means that you're on the clock, and we're happy that you are here. So let's discuss this important issue. Let's begin with a simple question. What is adoption?
Well, adoption is a legal process where a child becomes yours. Whereas if the biological process, whereas a parent go through and they conceive and make a child, the child belongs to them, right? But with the adoption, for certain reasons, probably they do not want to make or they cannot make, but you identify a child or we identify a child, and then we go to the legal fraternity, to the courts, to the high courts, and then that child becomes yours, legally yours. Just like your biological child is legally yours, through adoption, it becomes legally yours also.
Yes, so I know that there are different types of families out there. So this adoption, is it available to everyone, every single family? We carry out a assessment of the family. Before we place any child in any family's home, we carry out an assessment of that home. There are certain criteria which you need to meet. For example, it would not make sense placing a child in a family where neither of the potential adoptive parent is working, or probably they are struggling to make their own ends meet. And we do not want to put the child in that family at this point in time. That doesn't mean your position or your status will not improve. But at this point in time, we might not consider you favorable because of these conditions. You must be able to work to care for a child, because a child is very expensive.
So a child is very expensive. And for a child is very expensive.
You have to, it's how many years? 18 years?
until the child becomes an adult.
Yes,
Right.
But if the child probably going to SAFA, you still have to maintain the
Yes,
child.
yes.
Or probably university, you still have to maintain 25 years, probably 25 years, you still have to maintain the child.
Yes, so
You
you're
understand?
talking about if you were to equate it to which is not, we're not doing that, but just to give an idea of persons to know how heavy the responsibility is. If you had to get a loan for 18 years of probably $1,000, it tells you a month. It tells you how much that you would have to. That's just to cover the
It's
basic.
a child is very expensive. The diapers, milk, and the cost of things are going up.
health
If they get
health
sick.
as well. If they get sick.
Health is
They
very
get sick as
important
well.
because, and so therefore, we would at least probably not both of you all working, but the income needs to be at least something where you are able to save for wet days, right? And then you are also able to meet the child's needs and your family needs as
Mhm.
well.
Yeah. So the consideration for if I have a single parent, can I adopt vis-a-vis there must be both man and woman.
Ideally, a child needs both a male and a female figure to raise them. Ideally, the ideal. So you have the male aspect, especially for the boys. You have the female aspect to balance it off, right? But there is nothing in legislation which says that you must be in a relationship to raise a child,
Right.
right? But ideally, but not legally, you must have.
So that will not prevent me from
No,
getting
no.
a child.
A single parent can. Once you meet the criteria is that you are working, you are stable enough to care for a child. You do not have to have your house, but
There
you must be
some form of housing.
yes, you must be able to house the child. You are able to provide the child with their basic needs, their food, their water, their clothing, shelter, whatever. These things, we look at these things very microscopically, if there is a word.
And intently.
Intently, right? We look at that especially because we do not want to put a child in your care and the child suffers,
Right.
right?
Right.
So in terms of the process,
However,
I know you talk. Yes, continue. Sorry.
So we look at these things, and before a child is adopted, there is a process of foster caring. Right? I realize it's not on the thing, but foster caring comes before adoption. And there is a difference between foster caring and adoption.
Mm-hmm.
Foster caring is you raise that child with the intention that the family is someday or some years to come will be able to say, thank you, I want my child back.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right? For example, that used to happen a lot before, where you find a lot of people say, I raised with my aunt,
Mm-hmm.
I raised with my grandmother, I raised with my godmother. Talking about godmother,
Mm-hmm.
I need to come back to that.
I mean, I'm noting it for you.
Yeah. You say, I raised with a lot of person,
Right.
right? That is foster caring.
Okay.
With the intention of when things get better, I will take my child back.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The reason why I said godmother, godparents, is that a lot of people wants to be godparents. But if something happens to the biological mother,
Mm-hmm.
right? When we are looking for them,
Mm-hmm.
they do not take their responsibility. Because that is part of being a godparent, so that I will help the child in the event you are not able to take care of that child.
I know we can do a whole episode on that.
You understand? Because a lot of people, yes, I want to be the godmother. Some people has actually gone and begged people to be the child's
Yes.
godparent.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
But when the responsibility comes, like for example, probably the mother or the father faces some difficulties,
Mhm.
and we have to remove that child. We're
Mhm.
looking for the godparents. Not me, I'm not in that one, whatever.
Right.
They do not understand the responsibility of being a godparent.
There's not one child I've done a baby dedication for Elder Flora
Mm-hmm.
that I don't let the godparents understand that's their responsibility.
So that's a legal responsibility.
Well,
Because do they sign the document?
well, they sign the
They sign
document.
the-
Yes,
it's not-
they sign the
So
document.
is it
Legal.
that I'm signing the document that I'm the godmother?
Godmother.
So in the event that, for example, something
That's the
happens,
understanding.
Yeah,
but it's not legal.
It's
but
not legal.
He's not
Okay.
going to arrest you. Or
Yeah,
anything.
it's not legal.
They're not gonna just put the child
Yeah.
on you.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Because
Yeah.
to accept a child, you must be willing.
Mhm.
Okay, right.
Right? So if I can appeal to the godparents, please, I'm asking you all to step up.
I'll record you for the.
So just to be clear,
Yes.
because some people don't have godparents anymore. Just to be clear, and for them not to say Stephen didn't say sponsors,
No, it's
godparents / sponsors.
Sponsors, the same thing,
Right,
yeah, the same thing,
It's
the same thing.
Yes.
well,
Yeah.
yeah. It's the same thing.
Because
same
I
thing.
think in Adventist church we use more
Say
sponsors.
sponsors.
Oh, okay.
In Adventist we say sponsors.
Yeah, but the godparents.
Mm.
So you are there. That's your role. That's your responsibility. That's why you chose to be the child's sponsor or godparent.
Mhm.
So that in the event something, the mother might be going through some, or the family might be going through some difficulties. You step forward.
Mhm.
You come forward. You
Mhm.
assist. You understand?
Mhm.
No, you do not have to be a godparent to do that. You see a family is going through some difficulties. You as a concerned citizen, you as somebody who wants to see betterment of human beings do better or survive or decrease their difficulties or increase their happiness, you step forward, you produce something, you give somebody something, you help persons. There's nothing wrong in helping persons. So I was saying the foster parent, we're talking about adoption.
Yes.
But before you become an adoptive parent, there is a foster care parent where we monitor you also. Right? For with that foster parent, you have the child whilst the legal process is going on.
Yeah.
And then we might we have to pop up to your home, see how the child is doing, interview the child, ensuring that the child is comfortable with you.
Right.
Because we do not want it where you put a child in a home and the child is miserable.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The assessment has to be done. Right? So that period, whilst you are with the legal
Channels.
get to start rolling, we will still assess and monitor you to see how your parenting skill, to have an idea of your parenting skills. Because sometimes we come to you and we underform. I'm a very good parent. I'm very disciplined. I'm very caring and loving towards children. But at the end of the day, when the child is in your care, when we question the
That's when
child, the child is saying, this person is not as caring as they said they were. Right? This person probably has anger issues. And before anything happens to the child, is a licks or shouting or cursing or these things. These things happen. So there is a legal. So there is a period of time where we monitor what is
So
going on.
what is that period of time? Does it vary?
It varies. It varies. Depends on your lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
Depends on the schedule the court gives you.
Okay.
All these things varies. But during that time, we're supposed to monitor you,
Right.
assess you.
So when you say pop-up, is that schedule or surprise visits?
Both.
Okay.
And we also go to the school unannounced.
Right.
Because sometimes what I have found out is that if you are the parent and I come to your home,
Yeah.
certain eye look you might give the child. The child will get a clue of what to say and what not
How
to
to
say.
behave.
Mhm.
Right? So what we do, we go to the school unannounced, and then the child has nobody to give them ideas. Sometimes they still tell the child, if the social worker come to you, do not discuss that. But we are trained enough to see certain behaviors that we can probe more into letting the child discuss certain things. How comfortable are you? And these questions we will try to find out from the child.
So what about because I noticed you speaking about a child that is able to verbalize their feelings and what they're going through. What about children, let's say, who are, as we read in the example, 1 month. A 1 month baby may not be able to, or a toddler. So how is that the same? How is it different?
The child will not be able to verbalize.
Right.
So the pop-up at home visits will be important.
Right.
Secondly, if the child goes to a daycare, that will give us a clue. Because with children, even though they are they are young, we will be able to, the teachers will be able to see an attachment with that child. Right? Whether when the mother leaves, the child cries, whether the child is eager to get back to the parents' home and whatever, to in the parents' arm, they are eager. So that will give us an idea of the attachment, the bond the parent have with the child. Right? So that also gives us an idea.
So,
So do-
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go on.
No. I wonder if you were going piggybacking on the same thing there. My next question would be, is there still a need? I mean, I heard the CMO in St. Lucia saying we need more children. So I figure we don't have a lot of children. So is there still a need for foster parenting and for adoption? Because we don't have children anymore.
We don't have, I'll take that in two ways. Number one, statistically, the population has decreased.
Shrinking, yeah.
People 10, 15 years ago used to make average of 3 children.
Yeah.
Now, it has gone down to average of probably 2 per household, or sometimes 1.
One.
Understand? I've met people who say, I do not want children. Right? Especially putting their careers first and whatever. I do not want children. I will adopt my nieces and nephews. They do not make. Right? So statistically, we need people to take up the generation that to come. We need more people. I am aware of that. But with the foster parent and in order for there to be adoption, you need a child.
Yeah.
You cannot have an adoption without a child.
Right.
So if there is no children being born, there is no adoption. So probably people like you might have to make another 2 free to help the economy, to help people.
Yeah, I was asking about the attachment. You said that when they look at the infants, you look at the idea of attachment. Right? So if a parent is not able to attach quickly to a child, is that a sign as well?
Yeah, it could be a sign. It could be a sign.
So, because if somebody will say that's not my baby, and it's difficult to attach.
But that is why the foster care period is important. Because under normal circumstances, when somebody says, I want to adopt a child, it's because they have a love. They want a child.
Yeah.
Right? Now, if you cannot treat a child right, it does not make sense for us to place a child in your care. And then in probably another 2, 3 months, 4 months, or a year down the line, we have to come and remove that child in your care.
Yeah.
It does not make sense. So that is why the foster care period is very important and very crucial. We do both, like I mentioned earlier, unannounced home visits, go to the school, the preschool, speak to the teacher, whether they realize any marks on the child, on these things. So we do an intensive screening of what is happening.
So the foster care period is over. What happens next?
All right, when the foster care period is over, whilst adoption is going through, because our main topic is adoption,
Yes.
foster care period is ongoing.
Right.
So the adoption is where the magistrate will legally give you the legal rights to the child. It's legally yours. You can change the child's name. As foster parent, you cannot change a child's name.
Right.
You will we'll go to family court and give you a document, a care and protection order, where you can do certain things. You might be able to register the child for school and open a bank account, these things, apply for a visa and these things for the child. But you cannot change a child's name. That's not your child.
Okay.
Right? But with the adoption, you can change a child's name and do all the things the care and protection order was granting you permission to do.
Okay.
Registering the child, apply for birth certificate, and all these things.
So when you get that legal right from the court, you're able to say, this is my child.
This is legally my child, just like you gave birth to that child.
Right. And is there, during that adoptive, the child is adopted, the child is yours, is the monitoring still continuing?
Yes. Anytime the state is involved, the monitor still continues.
Up
For
to
how
what
long?
point?
There's not I don't think there's a specific period of time, but we will pop in and out just to see that we were correct.
Okay.
But it's not something you must do, but we still do it
Right.
because the child is legally yours.
Okay.
Just like a parent gave birth, we do not just go to your home and say, let me monitor you and your child.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? Unless a report comes.
Right.
So that is the same principle that we have to follow.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess the monitoring process would probably go to the clinics if they depend on the age of the child.
Depends
through
on
the
it.
nurses
But we
and
won't
so
take it
so.
on our own because the child is legally yours. Just like you gave birth to that child.
Right.
And we will not just, for example, we here in the studio, I will not just pop up to your home, floor and say, let me monitor your child. Unless I get a report.
Right.
The same thing with the adoption. We will not just, we can do it because, I mean, that is still the state, just to ensure that everything is going right and everything, but it's not, I don't think it's mandated that we must do it.
So in the case where you have a child who's adopted and I'm in my neighborhood, is it the same process of a normal child? I report it to if there are issues, if the child is being abused, I report it to human services.
Any child that is being abused, neglected, you need to report it. And the act goes far as to say there are certain persons it gives that are mandatory reporters.
Yeah.
Right? Clergy, the clergy is one. Teachers.
I say clergy first.
Bus drivers, whoever is in the act says whoever is in a authority over that child,
Okay.
and you see that the child you are mandated to report that child. And out of love, if you see a child is being abused, out of love, you can report that.
Right.
All right? Even though you are not related to the child, but you do not like the condition or you are hearing certain things that the parents or whoever is doing the child that is not right, report it. It can be done anonymously, give your name, I think, but report it so that we can stop that because we are there to protect.
So in terms of, I think Pastor David asked a question a while ago about the number of children the number of children being made. What about the concept of adoption? Is it something that people are taking to based on what you see?
How would I say that? People are rushing for newborns.
Right. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
As soon as a newborn is born and the mother says, I do not want the child at the hospital, you'll get calls coming in.
Right.
Right. Because, and I understand why they want newborn, because they want to nurture the child in the way they believe is best. Because a child after probably 8, 9, 10 has already developed their personality and characters and what entities be. So they do not want that trouble. So they want a newborn, a baby, a year plus, just so that they can nurture that child in the way they want that child to be. Right? So that is why an infant will not stay down. Where we have the problem is those from 8, 9, 10 up to probably 16 years. We're looking for foster parents for these people, and it's difficult because according to them, the adults, these children has already formulated their own characters, their bad habits and whatever. Why don't you want to stay at your mother's home? So it will be a lot for them to try and retrain that child. So they're trying to avoid that. So we're having a lot of problems. Not even the godparents or the sponsors wants to come forward.
Yeah.
And I think that is wrong.
So you mentioned the newborn, and you said as soon as the child is down, they want to. So how is that part of the process? Once you put your name, then you get a call, or how does that work?
The way it's supposed to work is that we're supposed to get a listing of everybody who wants a child, because we have to do an assessment of you before the state put a child in your care.
Right.
But what we find is that sometimes nurses have their own partner, have their own contacts, links. They will contact somebody, right? And they will contact somebody, and then the person will come forward.
Right.
Sometimes they speak to the mother. I hear you don't want your child, and the mother will say yes, and then the link will continue there.
Right.
Mm-mm.
Yes, and but the way it is, we're supposed to have a list of applicants who wants children, and then we take it from there.
So the hospital will inform you that this child is
This
born
child is there, and then
the parent want to give the child for adoption.
Whether they contact them or not, it still has to come to us.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
So, okay.
It must come to us.
Right. So
Otherwise, it will not be legal, and it could be.
Yeah,
Right.
it must come to us.
Right.
We must
Human
do
trafficking.
we must do an assessment of the thing. The courts will send it back to us.
Okay.
Some people do go through their private lawyers, but we still have to do a home study report.
Okay.
So, as you mentioned that,
Human
it brings to
trafficking.
a question, another about the human trafficking. So, if I have a child, can I, without going through the legal channels, give my child to whoever?
Yes, that's fine. They never took out that from you. You, as the parent, you can give whoever to you want to raise your child.
Okay, all right.
It still happens. That's like when we opened our forum here. I spoke about godparents and grandparents.
Yeah.
You mentioned legally.
Yeah, that's why I say legally.
Yeah, that's what it is.
So, can I give up a child at any age for adoption? Because you mentioned that I would not think that somebody who's 9, the person was an infant at a particular time, and if the rush is for infants, I'm thinking that maybe the person who's 9 was given up for adoption at a certain age. So can I give up a child?
A child is anyone beneath the age of 18.
Right.
Once the adoptive parent is willing to adopt the child, that's fine.
Right. So what happens in between? The child stays with the parents, original parents?
It all depends on what you all agreed on. Probably I'm not understanding what you say.
Right.
A child is between the age of 0
So
to
let's say
18.
I have my 9-year-old and I want to, for some reason, maybe I'm not able to care for the child. I don't have the finance. I'm always broke. I don't have the money, or I'm sickly and it's just me, right? And I'm saying, you know what? For me to give this child a better life, I'll give this child for adoption. In that context.
Yeah. That can happen at any time.
All right. And that child
under
will
18 years.
continue to live with me until such time, or there's a place where the child would go to be taken
It
care of?
depends on the assessment. Because remember, if you want somebody to adopt your child, right, there's a period where, unless the person is overseas, right, where we'll have to monitor the child, where the child will have to develop a bond with that person.
Right.
You're saying the bonding period is very important.
Right.
You don't just want to take a child and just pack a child at somebody's home.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So you'll have visits here and there.
Okay.
And then probably leave the person for a weekend, start with weekends slowly, right? Until the child adjusts, and then we will see what's going on. But you cannot give your child to adopt at any time.
Yeah.
Once it's your child.
Yeah.
So, with all of with the legal process, and we may have answered it. I don't know if Elder Florent did ask that. Principal, we're talking about adoption, but in terms of a need, which one is greater? Parents adoption,
Foster caring. That's what we need, because certain times something happens within the family. Right, the parents love their children. They don't want to. They want to be part of the children's life. All right. For example, you have a nuclear family where it is accused, where the male is accused of abusing the child.
Right.
We might have to, in our case, either the man leaves the house or the child leaves. Depends on the situation.
Right.
Some parents, what we find is that they stick to the alleged abuser. The alleged abuser. The mother might say, he doesn't do this, he doesn't do that. In that case, we have no choice. We go to court, we take out the child, carry out an investigation. Once the child say yes, that happened, whatever, the police involved, VPT, we might place that child. That is where we're looking for a foster carer to care for the child. That does not, we're not looking for adoptive parent, a foster carer to help take care of that child until that situation is resolved.
Right.
That is foster caring. Right? At that time, we will place the child in your care, go to court, give you a care and protection order and the magistrate will give us a period where we can come back and report to the court of the progress made or lack of thereof. right?
Mhm.
So this is where it is very difficult for us, because that is where we need people to step up.
Mhm.
We need family, especially family members. The first place we want to place children is with their
Mm,
family.
Okay.
Family members. We do not want to disrupt a child's life per se, in regards to just removing the child from or cutting them off from the entire family. That's not our intention. But we are seeking a safe place for the child for that time. Now with foster caring, foster caring can be as little as a night. It can be 2 weeks. It does not have to prolong into years onward. It all depends on the situation, and then we take it on from there.
Okay. So, a couple of questions came to mind, right? The need for foster parents and adoptive parents. Now, I'm thinking of the introduction. I wonder if my parents, I wonder if I might have been happier if she kept me. Bottom line, my parents choose to give me up. Now, a lot of persons associate being given up for adoption that their parents did not want them or does not love them.
That's a myth. That's one of the myths.
That's one of the myths.
That's one of the myths.
So, yes. So, what would you say to that? So, is it that all people give up? Well, you already say it's a myth.
Some of them.
Right.
Some of them will be a myth, because some parents, or for example, the mother, depends on how she got pregnant. That might create a barrier, prevent her from bonding with the child. Depends on how, for example, somebody got raped or whatever, incest or anything. That might create a bond. That the bonding between she and that child might be difficult. Every time she see the child, she might not hate the child per se,
Right.
But the event,
events.
Yeah, so therefore they might say, I do not want that child because I do not want to recall what has happened to me. I want her to be healed from that and whatever. And she might say, I want that child to be given up for adoption. Or she might just leave the child in the hospital and walk away.
Wow.
Yeah, it has happened.
So, on that question, I mean, I don't know if there are other myths, but since you brought that up, so parents don't get arrested, or can they get arrested for doing that?
It is against the law to neglect your child. But due to circumstances.
What, okay, you look at the circumstances. Okay,
yeah,
okay.
you don't report
Fair
these
enough.
things.
Fair enough.
Right? It's best the child did that than some 4 years ago. I don't know if you all remember, they found a child in a desert.
Yes.
It's better that they do that in the hospital where there are caring persons. Yeah.
Okay.
Instead of that.
Okay, I'm happy you brought that up. I didn't even think of that. So you look at you look at the circumstances that make that happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
It could be postpartum also.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
When you said that came to mind
Yeah,
too.
that one has gotten some more people are aware of the things that women go through when they give birth.
I think we'll have to. I think there's a lot of. Seem to be a lot of cases of that.
Yes, a lot.
These days.
So postpartum?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll have to bring someone in.
Yeah,
So what
yeah.
other myths are you have?
After we'll take a short break.
Okay.
After, go ahead.
The other myths
Okay.
associated with it.
With adoption, that the parents do not love the children. That's not true. What are the myths? I try to figure out on that question.
Maybe I can give you one.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people say, I'm not going up. I rather leave the child with their parents and give them everything they need, but I will not adopt a child because that child is always going to want to know who their parents is and they will disrespect me. So you have a lot of people not wanting to do adoption because of that.
The children, when they get older, they will want to see they will want an explanation. I've gotten that way. Why you? I want to know who was my biological, just for curiosity.
Right.
Now, what we do close adoption. Okay. Close adoption involves the parent does not know who the potential adoptive parents are. Now, there is a reason for that. If we do open adoption, where you know who is adopting your child, when your circumstances change,
You want that child back.
you might want that child back.
Right.
Now, it has already gone to court. Not even a magistrate, a judge has already signed that is your child. So the parent might go to the school, hey, you know I'm your real mother? And probably they might call the adoptive parent and then harass them. I want my child back and all
Right.
these things. To avoid all these things, they do not know who.
Right.
Right? So then it's up to the adoptive parents to discuss or to explain to the child, if they choose to, that your adoptive parent, I'm not your legal mother, I'm not your legal father, but you're adoptive. It's up to them, right? But we go the route of close adoption to avoid the problems in the future.
So perhaps the linking from the hospital is a bad idea? Or is it a good idea, depending on the circumstances?
It depends on the circumstances. Right. They will take responsibility for that.
Right.
But if that's why we take applications in advance, so that we have a child, we have assessment done, we call you and we have a child that fits your criteria, because some people have different criteria. Some people want males, some people want females.
Right.
Some people want them between 0 to 1 year. Some people might say up to 3 years. Depends on your criteria, right? Because there are parents, the first year they struggle, and within a year and a half they say, I cannot do it anymore.
Right.
Or sometimes they might get opportunities elsewhere and the child is hindering them, and they might just say,
I'll go. Let them. And maybe the final question I can ask, since there's none, can Elder Flora put his name down to be an
adopted? Yeah.
A foster care.
A foster care. Anybody can.
Look at me when I'm saying that, because it's something. Even this arise today.
Yeah.
You'd want to have a list of persons that you can put. Willing persons.
That's why I'm here to plead with certain, closer to the end of, I'll plead with people to put their names down, because we need them. We need them urgently.
To volunteer.
It's also part of the Bible, You know what?
Right.
Because I heard you all say they are taking a break. In Matthew 25, I said when he comes, he'll separate two sets of people.
Yes.
The sheep on the right.
Yes. And the foster parents on the left.
And the goats on the left. You remember that, Pastor?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, right.
So the foster parents on the left.
I never said that. I don't know what side it's coming. Right? And he also said, those on the right, he'll say, come into my bosom.
Yes.
Because when I was hungry, what you did?
Yes.
You fed me.
Yes.
When I was thirsty, you gave me water. You gave me something to drink. When I was in prison, you visited me. Right? Now, those on the left, when I was in prison, you did not come. You're the goats. And you say, go cast out. Whereas those that did the good deeds, say, come to me. So, the principle I draw from that, I'm not a theologian.
We almost graduated there.
The principle is that whenever you do something good to somebody, you're doing it to Christ.
Yeah, of course.
When you reach out to a child who is in need, Christ is happy about that. Am I right?
You have to turn to the left when you say
whenever you reach out to somebody,
right.
Somebody in need, somebody in want, visit the prison, provide clothes, because some people, some households, they have a lot of good things thrown away, good shoes, and they will not give it to somebody. Reach out to somebody. Some people might have some style they don't want to take it, but the Salvation Army and the Red Cross is always taking these things, because there are always people in need of these things. So we'll come back to that when we're closer to the
At this time, we'll take a short break and then we will return. So after the break, we have...
A note to young people from education, page 18. Higher than the highest human thought can reach is God's ideal for his children. Godliness, Godlikeness is the goal to be reached. Praise FM reminds you on what the Bible says on the state of the dead. Ecclesiastes 9:56 says, "For the living know that they shall die, but the dead know not anything. Neither have they any more a reward, but the memory of them is forgotten. Also their love, and their hatred, and their envy is now perished. Neither have they any more a portion forever in anything that is done under the sun. Ecclesiastes 9:10. Whatever your hand finds to do, do it with all your might, but there is no activity, or planning, or knowledge, or wisdom in Sheol, where you are going. Praise FM reminds you the manner of Christ's second coming in 1 Thessalonians 4:16-18. For this we say unto you by the word of the Lord, that we which are alive and remain unto the coming of the Lord shall not precede them which are asleep. For the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of God, and the dead in Christ shall rise first. Then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds, to meet the Lord in the air, and so shall we ever be with the Lord. Wherefore, comfort one another with these words.
Let me say welcome back to our listeners and viewers. We're dealing with the subject dying to belong. And we want to welcome, we have welcomed, in fact, Mr. Stephen Edward, who is a family case worker with Human Services with over 10 years experience, very experienced man, giving us insight into not only adoption, but also foster caring. And we're very happy to receive his insight. At this time, we're going to play some voice notes of some persons who have experience with adoption, foster care, and then we will give our distinguished guests to respond to those. And then afterwards, we will open the lines for your calls, messages, and questions. Right. At this time, we're going to. Yes. Maybe we, as we wait, we can ask a question. Must the child know that they are adopted?
There is no legal requirement that say you must tell the child that. It's all depends on you as the adoptive parent. If you choose to tell them, that's up to you.
So, what is your recommendation? Because we live in a small country, St. Lucia, and to just respond to that. We live in a small country, St. Lucia, right? So, and information that is sometimes secret comes up very quickly. Would you recommend that, based on that alone, that the if I adopt a child, that I should tell them because somebody will tell them?
I want to add.
Okay,
because it all depends on you. Okay. I mean, my recommendation. It all depends on the child you have, your relationship with the child, because the child will always want to know, number one, who's my adoptive parent, why my adoptive parent gave me up. The child will always the child will be curious, right? And the child might want to see and sometimes go and say, I want to spend a weekend with my mother. To avoid all these problems, it all depends on you as the adoptive parents, but if the child does not know, I would leave it like that.
Because in certain schools, you have activities where the teachers ask the child to bring pictures. And sometimes in the conversation, the child may ask, do you have any pictures of me when you were pregnant?
Yeah, just say no.
Okay.
Or in that case, put a pillow under your shirt.
No, just say no, I did not have any pictures. You wouldn't be lying saying you do not have any picture.
Right.
You don't have any picture of you when you were small.
Okay.
After the voice note, I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Being adopted makes me feel special. I never felt unloved from my siblings. I never felt different from my siblings. I felt that my parents got to choose me and my brother to be a part of their family. And it has been the biggest blessing to me.
All right. So this is the first one. You want to respond?
My name is Alan.
Let me go ahead.
Alexandra Emmanuel. My husband and I welcome into our home two wonderful children who were aged 3 months and 3 weeks at the time. We wanted to give them a sense of security, love, and permanency. Now they are all grown. They are 35 years old and 33. There are some challenges, but the benefits outweigh the challenges. So I would encourage anyone who wants to look into adoption, pray about it, and give it a try.
There are many success stories with adoption.
Yes.
Success stories.
And I find
because the first two votes said about the first voice note said about she herself is an adoptive child, was an adoptive child, and then she was happy. They treat her well.
Yes.
Her siblings are like, she was like
part of the family.
Part of the family, being involved in everything. She was not isolated because I did not physically give birth to you. That's what the foster caring period is. We monitor and
right. So I'd like to thank Sandra for these two voice notes and expressing her experience. And that's not an easy task to do, to choose to do two children at that age.
There are challenges.
There are challenges, and she did it with her whole heart. And I'm sure she feels the benefits of seeing these children, saving these children's lives. Yes.
You see, the thing is that once you're as a human being, you see you helping somebody. There's nothing better than that. Helping somebody to move one step to climb the social ladder, the economic ladder, and you knowing that you
made that contribution.
And made a contribution towards that person being who they are today. It's just like teachers. Teachers will say, I'm proud.
Look on that side. Look on that
side. I thought this person and watch where the person is and watch how proud I am.
Yes. You saved a life.
You save a life. Especially if they were boys that was giving trouble or whatever, and you were able, you turned around and then you were probably bringing them they didn't have breakfast at home, but you used to leave your home as a teacher, bring your breakfast or cater for them, provide them with lunch. And this child was able to thrive and go through all the difficulties, and at the end, they graduated. Sometimes they have not even gotten a job, but just the fact of they finished school, they on probably the principal's list of you feel so good. It's the same principle. I want to you feel happy, you feel good that you are able to make a meaningful impact on somebody's life.
Indeed. We play the next voice note. Just give us a little short moment, yes.
Just as having your biological child, being an adoptive parent is a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful experience. However, both parties, if it's a man and a woman, husband and wife, or partners, both parties have to be ready. Both parties have to want it. It will not work if the two parties involved are not in this 100%. And if it's a single person thinking of adopting a child, you have to be ready and have everything invested in this. You have to be ready for the questions. You have to be ready for the looks. But I'm telling you, if you could write it out, this is going to be one of the most beautiful experiences you will ever have. For me, I have forgotten. I don't know that I didn't give birth to this child.
Right.
This is my child.
You see?
I feel it through every fiber of my being. This is my child. This child is a blessing to me and to my family. So if there's anybody out there who's thinking about doing this, trust me, if you know you're ready and this is what you want, go for it. 100% go for it.
Any comments on that, or you wait for the next one?
I feel so so happy hearing these success stories. And what she mentioned, other person mentioned, is that both adoptive parents have to be on the sing the same song. They must want it. Because we do not want where the mother is saying, or the yes, and the father is saying no. There will be conflict in the house.
Mm-hmm.
For example, if one day the finances is short,
Mm-hmm.
and the mother probably might take a little more finance to buy something for the child.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just hypothetically
Yes,
speaking.
you're giving a context.
Yeah. The father might come up and say, had it not been for that child,
Mm-hmm.
I will have that money to do X, Y, and Z.
Right.
And we do not want that. So it is very important that both of them agree that is what we want.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That is what we want.
Right. So, as coming out of that statement, I have a question before we move to the next voice note. If I'm in a relationship with my wife and during the period of adoption, things change in our relationship and we're broken up, does that affect the adoption?
Then to who the adoption will go? To who? If you're breaking up, who will take responsibility for that?
For our discussion there, the lady decides to take the child.
All right, the lady decides to take it. Well,
Yeah.
the lady will go forward with a child while she will be
Or-
because there is nothing that say you must be married to adopt a child.
Yeah.
You understand? So what is why the caseworker will call y'all? Y'all have been separated. We are about to go because y'all on the application. Y'all
It's the two of us.
is the two of y'all.
Right.
Y'all sign up for it as a couple. The
Right.
two of y'all, because y'all sign up. Yes, we want that.
Right.
Y'all break up, then another discussion has to happen.
Okay. All right.
Whether we
Move forward.
move forward,
You move
cancel
alone.
y'all, you or whether one parent might want that child to continue with that child.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Thank you. The last one.
Mhm.
The last one.
When my wife and I got married, we agreed. No children.
Mm.
We both came from big families and figured we'd done enough parenting. But as life goes, especially when God's leading, our plans shifted. A baby in need crossed our path. We started as foster parents, but quickly he became part of our hearts and our home. We adopted him. It was beautiful, but not easy. We wrestled with how and when to tell him he was adopted.
Mm.
Sadly, someone else told him first, and it hit him hard. The effects of this person's jealous act still linger, but even through the pain, love won. We're his parents, through and through. Yes, we notice differences. Nurture doesn't always override nature, but the bond we share is real. Adoption is a sacred calling. It takes everything. Would we do it again? Yes, for the sake of obedience to God, of love, and of purpose. Thinking about adoption, don't just feel, pray. God's plans are personal and powerful. His evangelistic mission fields aren't one size fits all, and his plans are anything but boring.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, this one. What's your take on this one?
Yeah. The same question. Back to the same question you asked me, whether you should tell the child.
Yeah.
It all depends. But unfortunately, if the child gets to know that before you told him that,
It creates more problem. It creates more
but
problem.
sometimes, you must be tactful if you want to tell them. You must have to be tactful.
Is it easier if you start at an earlier age?
Yeah, they might be more palatable to them. Like, especially if you're showing them love and whatever. Once they have understanding, it might be more palatable to them than a 20-year-old. You know,
Yeah.
I was not your parent, and then you
have more questions, and the search begins.
The search begins to
To
get
find out who is that person that's my father and who is this person that's my mother.
Yeah, because there are a lot of prominent persons who were adopted. I can remember one, Les Brown, was adopted.
Yeah.
Yeah, he keeps saying that he was adopted, and then watch how he was one of the world's best motivational speaker. Right? So where adoptive parent shows once the person is there to show you love, to guide you, nurture you. It's just like you being the person's biological.
Yeah.
parent. It's just that you did not give birth to that child. You went through the legal method where they put you the child, give you the child.
Is it more powerful than making a child that you choose? Childbirth versus you choosing.
You choosing the choosing, because most people will come or request adoption after they have tried and they cannot make.
Right.
Some of them will go Barbados or other thing to fertility clinics.
Yes.
And then after a while they realize they cannot make, so they will just come to adoption.
Right. Yeah.
Most people.
Yeah. There's a someone I know who had that experience of not being able to make, and she went on a fast period, and she has 2 now. So that's encouragement for those persons facing those challenges.
Yeah.
There's always power in prayer.
Yeah.
So in case you are desirous of a child, we have Bible examples of these as well. God opening the womb of barren women.
Yeah.
All right, and help making them produce children. So that's
nothing is impossible.
Nothing is impossible with God.
Question: is a biological parent always a biological parent? So in
Yes.
the case of I legally adopt a child,
The biological parent has no right to that child.
has no right.
No right.
Giving away the rights.
Giving away the rights. No rights.
So in the event,
That's why you can able to change a child. You can go wherever you want. It's your child.
right.
But with the foster carer, the biological have some limit, because they will
Right.
always act. The biological still depends on the situation. Might still have access towards visitation.
Mhm.
Depends on the situation, right? Visitation. But with the adoption, there is no visitation, nothing. That's why we do close adoption.
Right. Now, in a case this closed adoption gets leaked and the biological parents get to know that child and gets to the school, can that biological parent go through a legal process to get that child back?
After it has been, after adoption,
The legal process, yeah, adoption.
I don't think so. I have to look at the legislation when you say. I don't have a definite answer to that
Okay.
one as yet.
Okay.
So
I'll
what
have
if,
to look at
what if now the child find out who his biological parents are, wants to be with their biological parents, and the biological parents wants to be with that child?
I've never gotten a situation like that.
Fair enough.
I've never gotten a situation like that.
Fair enough. But
That's possible. It's just possible. Because the thing is that some children might say, in spite of my mommy and daddy does not have,
I
I
would
would
rather
rather
be with them.
struggle with them.
Mm-hmm.
Some people might say, I rather struggle with them.
Mm-hmm.
But these are children who are mature, who reach a certain age, and that will be able to say that.
Yeah.
Right? But the adoptive is normally infants and toddlers and these things.
All right. Our numbers for you so that you can call and, of course, share your experiences. And you can ask your questions if you have any questions. Maybe you have a friend who's interested. You can always let them know the program is on as well. So this is 452-1011. You can call us. And our lines are open right now. And our WhatsApp 461-9647. You can call, voice note, or send your messages. We are also on Facebook and YouTube. You can also add your comments, and we'll also read your comments if you have any.
So there's an interesting question. And I know there are people agitating for prayers to be out of schools and all of those things. But does spirituality play an important role in the whole adoption process?
Explain that.
I'll explain. So we're a Christian nation, I was told. I don't know if it's still true. So just like there's no, I can choose what I want, a male, female, whatever.
Yeah.
Must someone be Christian or believe in God? Can an atheist apply to
Anybody can. Anybody can. We don't discriminate.
LGBT too as well.
Yeah, we don't discriminate. Because what we're looking, adoptive parents and foster parents, is to show love to that child. That is what we are. We do not discriminate based on your sexual preferences. If you are gay, that doesn't mean you will not give the child love. Right? Although we are against it, but we are mostly concerned with with the love and attention that child will get. There is another argument to it where the morals will come in. Whether the child will grow up in seeing two men or two women in their life, and there is a moral thing. But so far,
You have not faced that.
I have
challenge.
not faced that challenge.
That's very good to know.
All right. So okay.
Yeah, well, that's why morality comes in. Whether the child, it is correct for the child to see two women in their life, or two males in his life, and these things. That's why morality.
But as a parent, even if I'm giving up my child, can I say?
That's a question I was going to ask.
Can I say, I would like my child to go to
that kind of home?
Yes. What kind of home?
So in other words, I'm a Christian. I would like my child to get to a Christian home.
Yeah. You can make this. You can make this request, and we can facilitate this request.
You can or you will.
I will.
Okay.
Yeah, you can.
Because unless you find the home, then I will not let go of my child. Okay.
Yeah. We have a question. We have a call.
Praise good day. You are on the air. Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Very interesting topic, and one that I think that I needed to hear,
Praise the Lord.
because I think I'm about to begin that journey.
That's great.
However, I really don't subscribe to the theory of not telling the child. Especially, as I think one mentioned earlier, that sometimes if you don't tell the child, somebody will.
In St. Lucia.
Especially in the small society which we live.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, especially if you are Christian, and teaching that child certain values, to be truthful, to be honest. You have that child living a life, the rest of his or her life, believing that you are her biological parent or parent. And suddenly that child finds out through whomever or through whatever means, and that child confronts you. What do you tell that child? To me, you have that child living a deception that his entire life or her entire life. I believe you tell that child. Of course, you give that child information in tidbits. I mean, you will not give that child so much information that he or she cannot manage. But I've always believed, in before I started that journey, that one day if I were to adopt a child, that I will let that child know at some point that he or she is adopted. I think sometimes people are afraid to do that because they fear that the child may go back to the biological parent. I also believe that it's possible I want to know who the parent is, not because I want that child to associate. I just want to know for certain simple reasons, like, for example, if the child begins to show certain behaviors, at least you have a greater appreciation of where that is coming from. In as much as that child may be growing up in your environment, but remember that child shares no part of your DNA. I just want to know for other reasons. For example, that child might have siblings, other biological siblings. That child might bring somebody home. That child might end up getting friendly to a brother or sister you don't know. So for my own reasons, I just want to know who that parent is, who the parents are, and then I take it from there. I also want to say that I find when there are quite a few children, I was quite amazed when I went to one of the homes. There were so many children there waiting, to get a home. I couldn't believe that there were so many children in St. Lucia, at those homes. Pardon?
I was saying these homes are always full.
Yes. Now, I understand that the services have to do their checks and balances because people have all sorts of some people have all sorts of agendas, right?
Yes.
But I still find it too rigorous, especially when it comes to the legal fees. There are people who genuinely want to help out, but I just find that the process is also too rigorous. So I'll listen on air. But again, very good program.
Yeah, thank you very much for your call. Very interesting set of questions. I'm glad this guest is here to answer them.
Let's take the last one first. We do not set the legal fees. Anything lawyers are expensive. They have their own they have their fees, their structure. I understand that. We do not set that up. We do not encourage them. As a matter of fact, sometimes we might, if we go, we might tell them to give you a little discount here and there. But their fees are their fees. That's how lawyers operate. lawyers and doctors, they are very expensive when it comes to these things. But I understand your thing, because I understand your concern, because if you are helping a child, I think the state should take some responsibility out of you to help you with that process. I understand that also. But the lawyer's fee is they are the one, or the court fees, we have nothing to do with that. All we can do is probably advocate on pre-adoptive parents to tell them that this person
Is the qualifications and
is in desirous of having a child, which will probably that child going with that adoptive parent might save the country a lot of money. Right? Because sometimes when people see children in a certain state and they do nothing, that child will be raised and then start doing some antisocial things, and then we all will
pay for it.
Yeah. Sometimes our home pay for it. So I mean, yes, I understand that when it comes to the legal fees, we have no jurisdiction over that. We can only advocate and say probably give them a little percentage of our thing. But the court fees, the legal fees, I don't think is our responsibility.
So she mentioned some of the reasons why she feels that if she would tell the child that and some of the
genuine.
strong points.
Yeah,
she
especially
mentioned
very strong points, especially the marriage or
Praise good day, y'all on the air. Good afternoon.
Hi, yes, this is Casey, Sandra's daughter. I provided the clip on adoption,
Yes.
and I wanted to say a few things because I'm listening to the program.
Okay,
I'm
very
at
good.
work, but I wanted to say a few things.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Casey?
Hi, this is Casey. I'm Sandra's daughter. I provided the clip as an adoptee.
Yes, go ahead.
My mom and dad adopted me.
We heard you
My
say.
mom and dad adopted me when I was 2 weeks old,
Wow.
straight from the hospital.
Yeah.
They're the only family I have ever known, and I love being adopted. I do believe you should tell your child about being adopted.
Yeah.
It doesn't make them any less your child. It just gives them more. For me, as I got older, I did want to learn more about my biological family, but that's just because for medical reasons, and you want to see where you come from. But I've never felt like I was less of my parents' child. I feel more loved, if anything, because they got to choose me. And they went out of their way to open their homes for me and my brother, and they didn't have to do it. And I think that speaks to the character of the people to the adoptive parents. You really have to have a love to give to be an adoptive parent. And what my parents did for me has made me, as I've gotten older, want to do the same for other children, because there are so many children that are suffering that don't have a home and don't have what you may be able to provide them. If my parents wouldn't have adopted me, I probably wouldn't have learned about the Lord. I wouldn't have gotten to where I am today. And so that's why I think adoption is so special. It made me who I was. It made me who I am today.
Right.
So I think everyone should look at adoption if you feel it in your heart to do so. So that's just my 2 cents on adoption as someone that is adopted.
Well, thank you for that, sharing your experience.
Thank you for
with us.
doing the program.
Excellent. Well done. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Yes.
Have a good one.
You as
Bye.
See, if you listen to Casey, you want to adopt.
Yeah. No, it's a good thing. I mean, you're helping somebody.
Right.
And that's part of our Christian, like I mentioned, duty to help those in need.
Yeah, earlier we were talking about some of the reasons she gave.
And Casey gave as well?
Yes.
The health.
Yes, in terms of if there are any health issues and a person getting married, bringing somebody home.
That's strong
That's
arguments.
their cousin.
That's strong, a very
That's
strong
their
argument.
sister or brother and so on and so
That's
forth.
strong. But that is why it is not enshrined in the law where you must tell a person. It's all left to the adoptive parent, I keep saying that, to decide if they choose to or not if they do not want to.
Okay.
But I understand, especially for the marriage, you don't want to say, and then that's your family or whatever. You understand what I'm saying? But on the other hand, it might raise some
Yes.
curiosity, and then
the other downside. So what if, and again, while I understand why you should, which I think you should, I'm now thinking you should, but then what if you raise that, and then the biological parents in no way wants anything to do with that child?
I don't know you.
I don't know who are you and why are you here, and I didn't want you, I gave you up. In the instance where, let's say, the mother was raped, of course, that now brings another reality which you would not have wanted, or I would not have wanted as an
I did not
child.
want you to know that I'm your mother.
So the child might feel rejected.
They're now wonderful, the rejection. I'm not wanted. And so I guess that's why it's in the hands of the
adoptive parents. If they choose
handle.
to, that's them. There's nothing in the law that says you must or you must not. It's up to you to do it.
But good arguments.
But good arguments, very good arguments. The marriage and the
In terms of training support for adoptive parents, is there anything available?
Yes, we're supposed to have some adoptive parent. No, once the person has been adopted, that means the person
can do the job.
Most likely, and the person was a foster carer first.
Okay.
There are training for foster carers, your issues, the home visits, the whether announced or not, inquiries, your neighbors, what they're hearing, how you're disciplining the children, all these things. These things you'll pass through the test where sometimes you don't even know. You understand? You go to the school, you have been tested. But it has to be good. So once you're adoptive, like I mentioned earlier, once the adoption has gone through the courts, we do not just come to your home and say we're following up on that child, because the child is yours now. It's just like you gave birth to somebody. We do not just come to your home and say, let me check on your child, unless there is a report. Do you understand? Okay. So the child is legally yours. Right. If there is no report, we might just sometimes, because we are the caseworker for the child might know us, and sometimes to sever the relationship a while, you'll go. Yes.
We have another call.
Praise, good day. You're on the air. Good afternoon.
Hey, I'm trying to ask a question.
Sure, go ahead.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead. You can ask your question.
Yeah, this morning I heard you this afternoon I heard you talking about foster children have been abused by the foster parents, right? Kind of for them. What about when the children is abusing the foster parents? What would it do? Someone can be very abusive to the foster parents as
Give me an example of what you're referring to, miss.
Sometimes some of them are rude, they shoot the answer back, you know? Sometimes they want to fight, sometimes they fight with the foster parents, sometimes the police come in. I've seen that before, you know?
And stones.
So I know some of them can be very abusive too, the foster parents.
And some of them might say, you're not my parent.
Yes,
Why
and I've seen that. Sometimes they do things to the parents. Sometimes they go to, how do you call that training center? They have a
training center?
Yeah. Some of them. Sometimes they do that as well. It can be two-way wrong.
Okay.
So how would you handle that? I think to you on the air. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Between 12 to 15, 16 years, children go through a stage where they fighting between being an adult and being a child.
Right.
There are a lot of conflict, right, within themselves. I want to do this. That's time they testing the grounds. They testing you as a parent. They test you. You tell them to do something. They will want to know the reason why you want them to do it. Right? They will pull your strings. They will pull your strings. Now, whether it is your biological child or foster carer, we all go through that stage.
Yes.
Every one of us. That is why it is very important that we patience training. That is why the family caseworker will come to you, and then any challenges, we try to nip it in the bud.
Yes.
Yes, sir? So it is important that that we be mindful of that from the 14, 15, 16-year-olds. They will give some trouble. They will test you. They will sometimes disobey you, and sometimes willfully. It does not have to be a foster child to do that. Some people, their own children does that to them.
True.
Right? So that is where the same parameters you will have for your child, you do the same for the foster child.
Yeah.
All right?
But
the like the pastor says, because you say, because what is happening is that the person you might say, you are not even my child and you're giving me problems.
Yeah, that's a bad statement.
That is the issue. Instead of helping the child navigate through this period, because it's a period the child will go through. That is where counseling, that is where you as the parent, you need to understand what the child is going, where the developmental stage of the child, and how to help them, guide them through this period. Because we all go through that stage.
That's well, I guess that's for another program. That's why I always hated when people say, Timama is a no, maybe Timama is a fam.
Yeah, they don't understand.
So the question you can ask is there a time I can change my mind?
About what?
About adopting a child.
Yes,
that's what. That's what.
Once it has not gone through the courts.
It has not gone through the courts.
So you can change your mind anytime.
And the biological parents can also change their mind at what point in time as well.
Anytime. Once it has not gone through the courts.
Okay.
Once it has not gone through the courts, and for the judge to sign the decree saying that is your child, you are a foster parent, and the mother still has all the rights to their child.
Yeah.
So, but you are saying, as the last call, in the event that the child, the foster child, unless it through the process of adoption, the same privileges you would have given to that child as
it's your child.
It's your child.
It's your child.
So be patient, be loving,
be patient.
All what you would be
as your child. Treat your child.
Right. Don't give up on the child.
Don't give up on the child. But it's like you said, it's hard because you're doing a favor to the child.
Right.
You're providing the child with their house, their shoes, their
the child will
clothes.
tell you, I didn't call you.
Well, I came to ask him that. Not the child said,
but then again, you just say, yes, I did not. You did not call me. I came. Yes, I came to you, but I do it for your benefit. And in the long run, you will see why. I do it because I do not want you to be another statistics.
Final comments.
A final call.
Final comments. Listeners out there, we need we need a list of foster parents to help us or to help children who are going through difficulties. We are in dire need of this. Like I mentioned earlier, doing good deeds, it's also in the Bible. You went to the prison to visit. That's a good deed. Those who did not, they were referred to as goats. They were rejected. So please, I'm asking you, open your heart. Open your home to a child. Sometimes you can save that child. Because what might happen is that sometimes you see a child is misbehaving. And if you do not say anything, next 4 or 5 years, that same child might break and enter into your own home.
Mind your business.
That same child might affect or might be a gang leader and bring in your child to them.
Wow.
So it is important that we step forward. I'm asking anyone who's desirous of helping us. You can call the office 468-5108. That's the Ministry of Equity. And give them your name, your telephone number, your contact information, and we will get back in touch with you. Being a foster parent, we provide a monthly stipend for you. It might be very small, but we assist. All the school books we provide, the uniforms we provide, right, and plus the stipend. We provide that for the foster parent. There is also there's a medical exemption card we also give to them so that you do not have to pay for the medical expenses when you go to any of the government hospitals or health centers. You are exempted from that.
Okay.
The government tried to reach out. So all we are asking people is to please help a child. And especially the sponsors and the godparents. When the child is very young, an infant, 6 months, 4 months, 3 months, we love them. We want to take them away from their parent because we want to be the godmother. But when the responsibility comes, when the mother finds themselves or the parent finds themselves in difficulty and we are looking for you, do not shy us away. Do not tell us not you. If you have the capacity, we will welcome that. So please, I'm begging, I'm urging everyone who can, just reach out to us and give us your name, give us your contacts, information, so that whenever we find ourselves in a jam where no family member wants a child, we can call on you to just house a child, probably for at least a month, for 2 weeks, whilst investigation goes on.
Yeah.
And some of the children are very loving. It's just unfortunate of what they are going through. And some of them are very loving children. Okay, so that's all. So please, let me give you the number again, 468-5108. Give them your name, your contact information, and tell them you want to be a foster parent. If you want to be an adoptive parent, the same thing can happen. We'll give you some form. There is a list for adoptive parents where your name will be placed on a list, and then when a child comes up with your criteria, we can contact you. So please do not turn a blind eye to this.
Yes, thank you, sir, for that stirring appeal at the end. We have a quotation, Adventist Home, page 167, paragraph 4. It says there, fatherless and motherless children are thrown into the arms of the church, and Christ says to his followers, take these destitute children, bring them up for me, and you shall receive your wages. I have seen such selfishness exhibited in these things, unless there is some special evidence that they themselves are to be benefited by adopting into their family those who need homes. Some turn away and answer no. They do not seem to know or care whether such are saved or lost, that they think is not their business. With Cain they say, am I my brother's keeper? They are not willing to put to inconveniences or to make any sacrifices for orphans. They are not willing to, and they are indifferently thrusting such ones into the arms of the world, who are sometimes, Lord have mercy, more willing to receive them than are those professed Christians. Let us remember also, as we leave, that we are all adopted.
Oh, yes.
Don't forget that. We are adopted sons and daughters of God, who treats us as his very own.
There is a great need, with that quotation, it has me thinking. And so we want to sum up, there's a great need. Question is, will you fill in that gap and add to someone's sense of belonging?
Will you be a good Samaritan?
Will you be that good Samaritan? We want to thank you, our listeners and our viewers. It was another delightful session. We pray that today's program indeed, rest well on your heart. And then, Edward and all of those on the phone will get more and more foster parents and adoptive parents. So as we end, we want you to remember that wherever you go and whatever you do, mind your business.
Thank you for tuning in. We hope that this program has helped you to understand a little more your God-given responsibility to care for one another. Join us next Wednesday at 2 p.m. for another episode on Mind Your Business with Pastor Leroy David and Alvin Flores. Mind Your Business was